Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance. Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you. We're live every Thursday here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire at 5:30. Another big show. Big look ahead as well here in week number 7 as these games really start to get amplified as we head down the stretch. Every game getting bigger and bigger, and perhaps the biggest one yet comes your way Friday night. Bishop Girton at Bedford, two Division I heavyweights kicking off from Bulldog Stadium Friday night at 7 o'clock. We're on the air at 6:45 in our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week presented by Insurance. And then an undefeated showdown in D2 on Saturday as we head back up Souhegan at Plymouth. Both those teams, of course, are 6-0. And our guests are going to help us preview those two broadcasts and much, much more statewide. Coming up, in about 10 minutes, Roger Brown, founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, returns to. And then later on in the program, Souhegan head coach Ryan Boquette comes back on the program as well. Let's bring in Steve Beals, my partner. Steve, how are you? I know this is the time of season where you start to really start paying attention to the standings in all divisions as we move forward.
Well, you got a body of work that's developed, Nick. You got 6 games under our belt here, 3 to go. We've had in-state competition. We've had out-of-state competition. And, you can kind of see how our teams have fared this year out of state. I would argue very, very well. Got a big out-of-state game with Pinkerton Pinkerton home against Andover this Saturday. Andover, always a very good powerhouse team. Those teams know each other well because they play each other in the junior high league, the Northeast Junior High League. Andover and Pinkerton always slug it out in Division I with the Wolverines. So a lot of those players are going to know each other, and that'll be an interesting contest. But what's really interesting is to see the stratification that's taken place right now between what I would argue are the teams that are obviously front running, the two 6-0 teams, down to only 2 teams, and that's Bedford and Pinkerton. Been rated, by the way, number 1 and number 2 all year long. Certainly the New Hampshire Power Poll, WMUR Power. MUR Power Poll.
Union leader.
The
Union leader.
Pardon me, had a little block there. The Union Leader Power Poll clearly has had them right all year. Different people have different opinions who number 1, but they certainly have fared out that way. Secondly, you got a group of 4 teams here at 5-1. Nashua South, Manchester Memorial, Winnicott, and Bishop Girton. Big contest this week that we'll be at, as you said, Nick, Bishop Girton at Bedford. The significance of that game and its implications to both teams are probably going to be pretty significant as we approach the semifinals. The nice thing about 6 games into the season is nobody's guaranteed the number 1 seed yet. And that's a pretty good situation if you're looking for a lot of parity, which we have this year. 4-2, Exeter and Windham. But Windham is in a situation right now where they lost the first 2 games against Pinkerton and Malden Catholic, 2 powerhouse programs, and have won out ever since the last on a 4-game winning streak. And they'll take on Manchester Central. Should be an interesting matchup. And then, when you look at it, Windham, to me, of the 2 4-2 teams, they stand out. Exeter, obviously 4-2 as well. They dropped 1 to Bedford and Winnicott, and then they came back strong. I think, as expected, 14-0 against Dover. And at this point, those 2 teams are 4-2, and the teams that are in the hunt are Salem at 3-3, Londonderry at 3-3. By the way, winners of their last 2 games against Duxbury and Manchester Central, decisive victories there. Timberlane hanging around there at 3-3 as well. They've won their last 2 games against Dover and Goffstown. They'll face Alvern, probably have a pretty good chance against them. And then Kip Jackson's quietly at 3-2 right now, and they didn't play. They look like they decided to go the bye route, but they're 3-2 right now in state. So they're right in the hunt as well. So that's going to be an interesting who emerges from there. And then 2 dark horses out there, Portsmouth, Oyster River, and Concord. Concord's lost the last 2 games, and Oyster River has a win, the first game we did of the year, and then they just won against Manchester Central, I believe. Winnicott, excuse me. They won against Winnicott, which is a big win for them and a tough loss for Winnicott. Obviously came back and won the following game. So that's where it sits right now. I think we're going to have an interesting discussion, Nick, next week after we get the scores of this week. As far as schedules, two schedules in particular. You got Bishop Girton with Goffstown and Winnicott. So if they win, if they beat Bedford, that's going to be an awful tough task. But if they beat Bedford, they'll face Winnicott to really define their position in their division. Then you got Bedford with Londonderry and Keene. And then you got Pinkerton with Memorial and South after Andover, Memorial and South. So Pinkerton's got a tough 3 games. If they can win those games, Nick, they are going to come into the playoffs battle-tested to take on anybody that comes their way. So this is going to be fun. Last one, Wyndham is got Central this week, as I talked about, and they have Concord and Londonderry to work it out at home. That probably will be played on Saturday as they're home against Londonderry. Who knows what can happen there? I'll leave you there. But that's the kind of the breakdown where we have right now. This week is going to be huge, and there could be massive changes as a result of any upsets that take place here.
Yeah, and I guess Friday night is as good of a place to start watching for one as possible. Bishop Girton, of course, is 5-1, technically the underdog, but nonetheless a very good team. Bedford 6-0. They really haven't been tested quite yet. Double-digit victories in all 6 contests. Cardinals, their lone loss, as I mentioned, came last week. Really back and forth game with a very good Nashua South team. 28-24 was the final score there. Yeah. So again, Bedford BG in our Friday Night Live game of the week, presented by Beals Insurance. And then, as we mentioned, Saturday, there's only 3 undefeated teams left in Division II, and we've got 2 of them facing each other. Souhegan at Plymouth. 1 o'clock, we're up north. 12:45 is our kick. And again, Robin Boquette coming up later on in the show. But Steve, that game will also be kind of a benchmark game for not just those 2 teams, but for everyone else in the division as well. Pelham, by the way, is that 3rd undefeated team in Division II. All right, When we come back, we're going to bring in Roger Brown. We had him opening week. Haven't talked to him since. We're going to catch up, see what he thinks about week number 7 statewide. Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, coming up next. FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Well, back here on Gridiron, Nick and Astis, Steve Beals with you. We're presented by Beals Insurance. We're live every Thursday at 5:30. Check out the archived episodes on our YouTube channel. That's FNLNH Media. And please like and subscribe. Coming up later on, Souhegan head coach Robin Boquette. Always a fun interview. He's got them undefeated, the defending champs in Division 2, looking for a road win against a very tough Plymouth Bobcat squad Saturday. We are going there. Ahead of that 1 o'clock kick, our coverage begins at 12:45. Of course, we get our weekend started tomorrow night in Division 1. Dust off the boots, big showdown, big rivalry. Bishop Girton at Bedford. Live at 6:45. 7 o'clock is the kick from Bulldog Stadium. Joining us now, old friend of the show, Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, nhfootballreport.com, joining us now from his home on the Seacoast. Roger, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
I'm well, gentlemen. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you.
We are good. I see you have undergone a color change, Roger, from your customary red to orange today. What is that about?
No, I think it's red, Nick. I think it just must look orange through the filter. Yeah, but I am a big orange guy.
It does accentuate the pipes, though, Roger. I'll say that. It looks like you've just come out of the weightlifting room. Jake, it's crazy.
Too much is what
Don't mess with that big fella. Yeah. Well, rumor has it Coach Ball is bringing you back on the team to fill an offensive line backup role. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I'm good for about 3 plays, probably.
That's all you need. That's all he needs. He platoons. Don't worry about that.
We'll take it. Roger, let's start with tomorrow night's showdown. That seems to be the epicenter of high school football in the state, at least for one night. Tomorrow night's battle between Bishop Girton and Bedford. Where do you want to start there, Roger? Because there's a number of different storylines and angles, I think, that we could go after this one. But what is the main headline that you see going into that game tomorrow night between the Cardinals and Bulldogs?
Well, I think on the field, it'll be, which defense can deal with the opposing offense better, because both offenses are terrific. No question there. The team that plays better defense will win. I have no doubt about that. Of course, off the field, there was a lot of shenanigans after the BG South game last week. So I don't know exactly who is going to be available for BG. You hear a lot of things, and I don't want to mention any names because I haven't followed up to confirm, the facts on that one. But I've never seen a game end the way that one ended in all my years covering high school football. So
it seemed like, Roger, there was some words exchanged after the final horn and during the customary handshake again last week between South and Bishop Girton. And, well, as you just said, nothing publicly has come about repercussion-wise from that game, at least not to our knowledge. Is that fair to say?
Coach Nalen got two personal foul penalties and was ejected. There weren't words in the line. What the refs were doing was preventing the teams from shaking hands because they were sorting out so much other stuff. They told them to go to their respective benches, and there was more stuff that happened after that before the teams went to their benches. I saw one official throw 3 flags, 2 flags and a hat in a matter of 8 seconds, for what one coach was saying to him. And then they marked off, I shouldn't say marked off, they signaled a bunch of penalties. So I don't know if that's procedural and you have to do that, before the game ends. And then they brought the teams back out for the handshake, and, things were settled down after that. But it was just kind of a bizarre and confusing ending. And then you heard all sorts of things about, again, who may have been penalized and thrown out and what have you. So hopefully it's nobody other than Coach Nalen. That would be the best for the team and the fans and everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems like the deck is stacked a little bit more tomorrow night against BG than normal. Meanwhile, it seems like Roger is right on schedule. Everybody's healthy. They're putting up the expected high point totals, and they're undefeated through 6 weeks, really to the surprise of nobody in the know. Is there an Achilles heel there that the Cardinals can look to exploit tomorrow night?
Well, I think you can. I think you might have some. They might have some success moving the ball against Bedford. BG's kind of unique. They can throw it all over the place, but then they go to that double wing set, so to speak. A lot of times on first down, or at least that's what they did last week, and go to that old school ground game. And, if you move it on them and you have the ball, that's, they're not scoring with their offense. So I think that's the key. Keep it out of their hands, long possessions, and finish those possessions, by finding the end zone. And then, the other part of that equation is you got to get some stops on defense regardless, somehow turnovers, what have you. But I just think, it's not rocket science. You just got to keep the ball away from that Bedford offense, because I don't think anybody's going to be able to slow them down.
Steve?
Roger, good to see you again. Appreciate you coming on. One of the things I noticed throughout the year of the games that we've seen is Bedford's offensive line pretty much has dominated every single other team of their opponents that face. I haven't seen anybody match up to them yet. Having said that, BG's defensive line is big. They're strong. Their line, they swarm to the ball extremely fast. I think they read and react, and they read their keys from the linebacker core very well. So I see that in a strong point for BG. Whether or not they can accomplish that, I don't know. Getting penetration, I find if Brody Helton is getting across the line of scrimmage, you're probably in trouble. If you can hit him at the line or behind with these big guys who are fast and a linebacker core that can get in there and good creative defensive play calling, that seems to me you almost want, as great as Bennett Matthews is, to me, you just can't let Brody bowl you over and get steam over the line of scrimmage. Your thoughts on what you've seen defensively from BG, if you think they have a potential to accomplish this, if all of their personnel is there?
Yeah, BG certainly has a lot of terrific athletes, and some of them are on that defensive line. I do want to just give a quick shout out. I know Coach Nalen wasn't all that pleased with their running game in the second half last week against South, but I was very impressed with BG's offensive line as well. At least
my next question.
When they needed short yards, they were moving people. If it was 3rd and 1, they were getting 4. So just very impressed with that. But they've got a tremendous number of athletes. And they're probably one of the few teams that can keep up with Bedford, athletically, assuming they're at full strength. And I agree with you 100%. You don't want to let Mr. Helton get any speed, because it almost seems like he enjoys contact when he's at that full speed and he's running downhill at you. And he's no fun to tackle for sure in those situations. So the sooner you can get him, slow him down, what have you, that's probably the best recipe for containing him. Like you said, Steve, penetration will be important Friday night for sure.
On the receiver side, before I go to the offensive line, let's talk about the Bowen-to-Bowen connection. Bedford's got a pretty good group of defensive backs. Let's just say that they put their one, maybe they throw two people on the deep and Bowen's athleticism. Who do you go to next if you're BG? Who is that receiver that you're looking for? That's the next man up, if you will. That in the passing game, if they decide they need to move the ball down the field, one of the things they do is they've been running a quick offense. Coach Nayland's not afraid to run a tempo game on the spread offense when he's running that. But who do you see as the next person, the receiver that you would be looking at as their number two? And what would you do with him if it was you, Raj? You've been involved in this game a long time. You know offense. What would you do with Bowen and the number two to try to create open green space for Bowen to pass to?
Well, I think they have a terrific athlete receiver. I think it's Rocco Roy is his name.
Yep.
I hope number 4, I believe.
That's him.
So, assuming he's on the field, he's a tough matchup. I get the ball to him as much as I could. They had success with him last week against South. They went to him on the final play, and kid from South, Cloven Levesque, made a terrific play in the end zone. Otherwise, BG wins. He had blanket coverage on the kid, but he's a fan. Other than the kid from the Timberlane kid, Santa Suaso, he's as good as I've seen probably as a receiver this year. So they got plenty of guys. Bedford's going to have their hands full chasing receivers all over the place. It's just a matter of, I think you guys were there for the South Bedford game. Can the BGO line give Bowen enough time to throw against that Bedford D line, and exploit some of those matchups they have with their athletes? That'll be that's a subplot that'll be interesting to watch. But I think BG's got they got a lot of weapons, a lot of athletes. I was very impressed with them. They just kind of went into a funk a little bit in the second half of that South game.
Manchester Memorial is going to be playing Nashua South this week. Roger, what are your thoughts on that game going into it? I know that when Winnacunnet beat them, we were at that game, but I have to tell you, Memorial has some players on that team that are impact players. I think if they played each other 6 times, that might have been a 3-3 matchup. I really think that was one of the best coaching jobs I've seen all year by Coach Ryan Francoeur. And I think he and his staff coached an incredible game in the second half. Memorial didn't win that game, but nobody comes out of that game not recognizing how strong Memorial is. How do you think they stack up here, against Nashua South?
Yeah, to me, this is the most intriguing game of the week, and the most important game in terms of playoff implications.
Yeah.
You've got maybe what should be one of the state's best defenses in Memorial. I think they brought 10 back, and I think you could argue, Bedford would, put them to the side, but South might be the best of the rest in terms of offense. So that matchup is going to be fascinating to watch. I know Memorial was down a couple of linebackers last week. I don't know what their health is, but nonetheless, both teams are still playing for a bye, technically, and I know Memorial's got a tough go of it because they got Pinkerton next week, but they got to regroup quick, Memorial, because they were talking about finishing unbeaten in the conference and earning that bye last week, and now with South and Pinkerton on deck, they could have 3 losses in the blink of an eye. So they got to get right in a hurry if they want a home game for the first round. So that's the game I'll be at. I just think it's going to be a terrific matchup, a lot at stake. And, one team, not to knock the other side of the ball for either team, but the South offense against the Memorial defense should be quite a battle.
Okay, I got a quick one. So you got Salem Londonderry, Timberlane, and for all intents and purposes, Merrimack's 3-2, but they had a bye. So let's just call that those teams as the next tier that look like they're going to be playoff teams. Out of those 4 teams, Roger, who do you think's emerging out of there as the strongest of those 4 programs?
Say them again now, Steve. We got Londonderry, Salem.
Yep. Timberlane and Merrimack are basically Merrimack's 3-3, but they all have 3 wins. They're either 3-3 or Merrimack 3-2. Those seem to be the next group after Wyndham and Exeter at 4-2. Just focus on those 4 teams. Who do you feel is the strongest coming out of that pack if you had to go by the first 6 games?
Well, I haven't seen them in weeks, but it seems like Londonderry is getting better based on their results, and they went out. They beat a good out-of-state opponent. So they seem to be improving week to week. So I would say Londonderry. And again, I haven't seen Merrimack since the preseason, but they played some tough competition early, and I think they haven't lost since week 2. So they seem to be generating some momentum as well. So I would keep an eye on those 2 out of the 4. I think Timberlane is a good team. I just, they're a couple bounces go their way, and they're going to be in a game with you in the second half. And Salem is just a bit of a puzzle to me. They had those 3 straight losses. I know they had some injuries and whatnot, so I don't know what to make of them. But if they ever get it together, they were the team that I thought could maybe make a run at the title and knock off a Pinkerton or a Bedford when the season began.
Let's not lose sight.
Hasn't unfolded for them the way I thought.
Yeah, Salem is at Londonderry this week. Another game with huge implications as well, right?
No question. Yeah, the loser of that game may have a tough time getting in. Not saying that they're out or anything like that, but
they may need help.
That's right where the cut line is, so to speak, to use a golf term. If you win this game versus losing it, if you win it, you're doing okay, probably in good shape. But if you lose it, you really got some work ahead of you.
No doubt. I have one last Division II question. Nick and I and the crew will be up at Plymouth, Sauhegan at Plymouth. Probably not many leaves left in the tree. Probably be pretty cool up there on Saturday. What are your thoughts on that game? Both of these teams, when you look at the inside part of their programs, they both look extremely strong alongside Pelham, and then probably after that, Trinity comes through with a big win against St. A's, differentiating themselves decisively as kind of the number 4 there. But what about the game we're doing on Saturday at Sauhegan at Plymouth? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, terrific matchup. 2 superbly coached teams, great programs. I just wonder, I know Sauhegan has had some injuries throughout all year, really. I know from talking to Coach Bauquet earlier this week, as big as this Plymouth game is, their Pelham game might mean more because that's a game against a team in their conference. So I got to wonder if they've got some guys who maybe can go if they don't rest them, just so they're healthy next week. I'm not saying they will. I don't know. But I know, Fiengo's missed a few games, Brody Smith. Even without them, they've been terrific. So it's going to be a good matchup either way. I'm never surprised, or I shouldn't be surprised, no matter what Plymouth's record is, because it's such a good program. But based on what they lost last year, I have to say that I didn't expect them to be this strong this season. But it just, goes to show you what the coaching is like up there. And
Coach Dan Vaughn. It's tough. Coming in after a legend like that, and then coming in and just continuing the program. We went up there and we saw them against Trinity, and they are a fine-tuned machine. And Coach Sanborn is on the sidelines, has total command of his assistant coaches and total command where they get it done during the week. So when they play on the weekend, they're ready. That team just looks so ready every time you see them play. Can't say enough about him.
Yeah, I'm just not sure he has total command of his son, the quarterback, because I hear that they're in the shotgun passing the ball this year. So I don't know where that's coming from. But
I think that you're seeing a lot of running teams look at if they have a quarterback that can do it, they'll do it. If they don't, then
Sure.
they'll go back under center. And I was an under center guy for years and years at the lower levels there. And if I had a quarterback that could throw, you kind of open it up, but that doesn't happen very often at the age group I was coaching. But I stood up next to him after the game, and he was talking to a couple other players, and good sized kid. He's got good frame, and he's got a quarterback build, and they're going to have him. He's going to have him for a while. So
if you can do it, it certainly helps. Even the threat.
I thought he looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the threat of the pass is, helps you out. Even if you're a dominant run team. Look at Pinkerton last year. Extra tough to defend when they can throw it well, as in addition to their success on the ground.
Yeah.
So that should be a good one. You guys should be in for a great game.
Who are we missing in Division II besides those top four? Who do you like as record is concerned? Who do you look? I mean, I thought St. Thomas was in there. St. Thomas is going to, was a good team, but Trinity really handled them. We did that game on Saturday on FNLNH Media, and I think Nick and I would both agree. I won't speak for Nick, but Trinity looked very strong against them with similar records coming in. That was a big game. Trinity took control pretty much the whole game for what I saw. But after that, you basically got Kingswood. You get Kennett at 3-3, and then you got obviously Pelham. We already talked about that. And then you got West at 4-2. Where do you see?
Yeah, I think the top four teams are playing this week, Steve, which is Pelham, Trinity, Plymouth, and Sauhegan.
Yeah.
What the order is, I don't know. We'll learn a little bit about that. And then I think the next tier is Kingswood and West, who are playing this week as well. If Trinity does falter down the stretch, and I only pick them out because they're the only team of the top four with a loss already, and they have that one strange makeup game to play as well that they're playing like on a midweek or something.
Was it, Nick, you tell me three times in 8 days or 10 days?
They've got three. Yeah, they ultimately have 3 games in 7 days, based on they had to reschedule their battle against Hollis Brookline to in the middle of the week between I think weeks 7 and 8 or 8 and 9, one of the two. But either way, 3 games in 7 days for Trinity down the stretch. Certainly a challenge there for Coach Cathcart and company.
Yeah, so if the winner of the West Kingswood game, I think, they have an outside shot to sneak into that 4 seed and get a home playoff game. That's how I see it. And just for what it's worth, both coaches of West and Kingswood have done remarkable rebuilding jobs. Like a couple of years ago, these were 2 programs that were, right at the bottom. But Coach Preventure and Coach Woodson just terrific jobs, and I think both programs are trending in the right direction. So kudos to them. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Energy
and purpose they're playing with.
Yep. So I think that's your next tier, and then I don't know how many are probably in the mix for the 7 and 8 seed, but Hanover, Kennett. There's a lot of teams, probably St. Thomas, fighting for those final 2 spots. So it's a good Division II this season. I think, I don't know if we'll see upsets necessarily in the first round, but I do think there are some teams that can cause some problems and still be in the game in the fourth quarter, so to speak.
Nick, can we have another second? Yeah, we got a minute.
What time do we have?
We got a minute. Roger.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, we got time for 1 or 2 more here with Roger.
Sure. Let me take one. I'll hand it back to you, Nick. The kicking game this year, Roger. Nick and I have been watching it since the beginning of the season. I don't think I've ever seen a year in many, many years of watching New Hampshire football, focusing heavily on Division I and II. I have never seen kicking with the sort of lengths of field goals, the percentages of accuracy, kickoff, punt. What is going? Is it just a great group of athletes, or are these coaching systems that are coming in just doing a better job? Is it camps? what is it? Because the kicking game, we're getting 40-yard field goals. I think Nick and I have seen 2 of those. We've seen many 30-plus yard field goals and almost perfection when it comes to 25, 20 to 30. What do you make of this?
It's a good point, and I don't have a good answer for you, Steve. But we've seen some game-winning kicks like Exeter versus Londonderry, and you guys saw one with Winnicott last week, right? Yep. And I was thinking, I don't know that I've ever seen a game where 3 field goals were made before. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but high school football, you just don't see that very often. Right. Even if a kid attempts 3, not necessarily going to make them all. I do know there's a gentleman, Sam Lenson, who worked with UNH kicking, and he does a lot of local camps. He's just spends a lot of time working with just kickers. I know he works with some in New Hampshire. I can't say all of them, but you're right. It's it's a big part of the game, and the best teams usually are solid in that department. I think, in the preseason, the joke is always if you're going to an Exeter scrimmage, it starts at 10. Don't get there till 10:45 because they're going to be practicing PATs for 45 minutes. But it pays off. Punting, whatever, because they're usually pretty fine tuned in the kicking game.
Right.
And I do think it's if you're a good program, you better be good in that area, because that could be the difference between winning and losing when you face another good program, who's better on those special teams. So it's good to see. It's nice when you can, like the pros, you can get reasonable distance. You can get 3 at least, rather than, having to go for it on 4th and long or something. So I don't have an answer for why it is. Maybe more kids dedicated to it, but, it is it's been a good year for sure.
I agree. Have to keep watching it.
Good stuff. Roger, we appreciate your time doing double duty with us basically tonight. Had an empty segment there, and you filled it very well. We appreciate it, Roger, as usual.
Will we see you?
Okay, guys.
Friday? Thanks again. You told
Friday
us
what game again, South game.
South, that's right. South. Okay.
South
Well,
Memorial.
again, find his stuff. Find the latest Roger Brown material at NewHampshireFootballReport.com, NHFootballReport.com. Roger, thanks again, bud. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it,
Okay,
Roger.
guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger Brown, regular on the program, friend of the show, and doing some double duty this time of year for sure, trying to figure out these playoff scenarios, etc., as we march toward the goal line. Week number 7 already. Statewide kicks off tomorrow night with our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week, presented by Beals Insurance. BG at Bedford. That's a 7 o'clock kick. 6:45 is our coverage. We expect Bulldog Stadium to be mobbed tomorrow night. And then Saturday, we take a trip up north as Plymouth hosts Sauhegan. 2 undefeated teams, 2 Division II powers, and 2 perennial contenders. Sauhegan is the defending champ. Their head coach, Robin Boquette, joins us next. You are watching FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, we're presented by Beals Insurance. We're live every Thursday at 5:30. Great way to get ready for the big football weekend. This weekend, no exception. Week number 7 statewide. These games really starting to carry some playoff implications. Bedford at BG, D1 showdown Friday night gets us going. 7 o'clock is the kick tomorrow night. We're on the air at 6:45. Saturday, doubleheader. Souhegan at Plymouth in game number 2. That's again Saturday at 1 o'clock with our pregame coverage beginning at 12:45. We thank Roger Brown for joining us. And now, stepping in is Robin Boquette, longtime head coach at Souhegan High School. He's got the Sabres undefeated 6 games in and looking for win number 7 on the road this weekend. Coach, I know you're just off the practice field. We appreciate you carving out some time for us tonight. How are you?
I'm well, boys. How are you? Anytime, always.
We are good.
Good. Good to see you.
Good as usual, Coach. Thanks again for coming on. Talk a little bit about this squad, Coach, and the job that you and your staff have been able to do so far through 6 weeks. A lot of injuries, as we heard from Roger, but nonetheless, the results are there. Not just wins, but big wins oftentimes through 6 weeks. What's been the key, Coach, to juggling the health issues and still playing winning football?
Yeah, we're fortunate to have really great players, and it really starts with them. What's the old coach added? You the next man up, if you will. But really, I think when you have great players and then you have an opportunity within your offense and defense to put those great players in position for them to be successful, to help us win football games, and for us to have the flexibility of doing that as coaches is really awesome. But the winning formula, and Beals will be with me, is winning the game up front and on defense. And if one thing's been the same, even though we maybe have been without our quarterback and our best athlete in Brody Smith, we've been winning games up front. Our offensive line has been awesome. We have a lot of veterans on that group. And then on defense too, Coach O'Connell, our defensive coordinator, has just done a great job. And, a lot of the same faces of last year's team, but we're playing winning defense and stopping the run, doing our 111th, running the football, getting the ball back, doing all the things that you need to win football games.
Yeah. Coach, is this one of your deeper groups, particularly up front?
Yeah. When like the Bravo group, as we say, the backups are all juniors and seniors. That's pretty good, especially for guys up front in Amherst and Mount Vernon, where they're not drinking whole milk. They're drinking like oat milk and almond milk, and so normally we get like the leaner kids. But for us to be too deep in that and then to have some more reserves as well has been pretty good. When we're coaching the offensive line and we got a lot of numbers out there, we got more linemen than we do receivers. That's awesome. Normally doesn't happen in our place, but we're glad it is.
I'd imagine, Coach, as well, the long-term success that you and your staff have been able to enjoy over the last 5 or 10 years or however long it's been. I'd imagine that those seeds are starting to bear some fruit as well in terms of the numbers. Typically, we've seen that in the past where a school, quote unquote, rebuilds, they get better, they get competitive, they start winning, and all of a sudden the numbers start exploding year in and year out. How much of that has been a factor over the last several years under your leadership as head coach?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a huge factor. I think we have a few things going for us. Winning obviously always helps. Kids are going to want to be a part of a team that wins. And then I think secondly, it's maybe the culture that we have within our program. Playing football here is fun. We have fun at practice and we work really, really hard. And I know I've mentioned it on the show before, and kids, when practice is the best part of their day and they enjoy going to a 2 hour plus practice and they are flying around and have great energy and just have a lot of fun. Like the kids want to be a part of that. And they're really good to each other as well. I think it's our seniors treat our freshmen really, really good. And then that just continues within the culture year in and year out. And then with that, so like we just got off the practice field and our youth program practices right after us on the grass, 6 to 8. So just having that continuity with the youth program, half of my staff played for the youth program. I played for the youth program. 80-90% of our players did. So I think that pays dividends when, they grow up wanting to put on the black and gold and play there on Friday night. They see it on Friday night and then they dream about being that way. I was the same way when I was a 10-year-old, when the school first opened in 92, watching the guys play. I'm like, hey, I want to do that, So I think it's those three things: the winning, the culture, and just partnering with the youth program.
Well said. Steve?
Coach, Division II, not the same Division II we saw 3 or 4 years ago. There's more and more teams that are building programs. You look down the line right now with Plymouth, Trinity, St. Thomas, and Kingswood, and then you look at Sauhegan, Pelham, Manchester West. Yeah, they've lost a few games this year, but they've won a bunch of games, and there's a lot of energy in that program. I mean, you must be very, very pleased with knowing every single week it's not going to be a rollover by any stretch. How do you feel about the Division II situation, and maybe who else would you like to see either come up or be in Division II, or are you satisfied where it is right now? But it's different and it's better and it's more competitive.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it'll only get better with the coaching changes that we've seen on the West side. Like obviously, like Pelham is going to be Pelham, and they just reload every year and they do a great job and get after it. But the other program, it's always better when Sauhegan's good and then Hollis is good and Milford's good. And with them having new coaches and like they're only going to get better. Coach Davis at Conval, he's a Conval guy. Like those guys will get better. Coach up at Hanover is doing a great job too. So I think just continuing if they continue to grow those programs and do a good job, and that just makes it better for Division II. There was that 1 year where it was like you felt like 7 of the 8 playoff teams could potentially win the title. I think that was like 19 or 21, one of those years, and you just felt any one of those teams could beat any one of those teams. So I think that's what makes it really, really fun. Teams don't want to be getting the run. Getting the running clock is like cool and all, but you want the competitive games, and that's just it just breeds for just better football and a better division. But in terms of like seeing teams come up, like I think the teams that should be up are already up, and unless if their enrollment puts them in Division II, I don't really. I can't really tell you off the top. Maybe Lebanon. I'm not sure. I can't really tell you off the top of my head who should be up enrollment wise.
That's a possibility.
But I know I don't want to see anybody come down. Like we got We got a great thing in Division II. We got the perfect number of teams. We got the perfect number of playoff teams. And don't mess with Division II.
Let's talk about Plymouth for a second. Coach Sanborn, Coach Boquette, both doing a phenomenal job this year. I know you probably didn't want to hear that, but by the way, I'm on my third coffee machine since you said you were going to come by for coffee. I've already thrown away 2 in the dumpster, so we're still waiting over there in Bedford for you to stop by. But I hope you come by sometime. All right.
Okay. All right. I owe you that, Beals. I'm bad.
You do, and I'm even going to buy it. I'll buy the coffee and I'll go across the street and get pastry. Let's talk about Plymouth.
You're damn right you're going to buy the coffee.
That's what it's going to take. I'll do it. So let's talk about Plymouth for a second. I mean, you guys have different styles offensively, but both, obviously can boast about very solid defenses who both swarm to the ball. One of the things that Coach Sanborn does is they get their runners through the line so fast. You got to read your keys quickly, and your defensive line is got to be able to get separation. We all know what has to happen. What do you feel about your defensive line you're stacking up against these guys this year? Because Nick and I are excited to get to that game because it just seems like it's going to be a trench war. Amidst all the other great athletes will be on the field too. But what are your thoughts going into? What are the things you have to do defensively to stop that machine?
Yeah, I mean, like up front, like our D line has been playing great. Lunchy, Sean Reardon, his parents don't even call him Sean; they call him Lunchy. He's just been an awesome two-way player for us the last 2 years. John Bauscha, 66, D end. He's just an animal on both sides of the ball. And we had big shoes to fill in Toledo and fill in Hickman's spot, and guys have done a great job filling in for them. Micah Dibble at one D tackle. We've kind of had a revolving door a little bit at the other D end, but Mason Mobley's done a great job kind of playing that role, and Liam Fisher before him was just really awesome. Owen Wood has played there. And then other guys inside, Patty Casey just is our center as well. He's been an animal. But really, those guys just got to do their job, read their keys, do their assignment, and, just do their 1/11th and be really fundamentally strong against them. And I think that our guys have proven that they can be physical and play tough and play for 4 quarters. And it's a lot of the same faces from last year too, and I think that they love the challenge. They love the test. We love going up to Plymouth and playing there. It's a great opportunity to play against a really well-coached team that's always physical, that always gets after you. And this year is no different. But defensively, it always starts with stopping the run. Especially when you know that the team's going to run. And if we can do our 1/11th and do our job and tackle well and make Plymouth earn it and eliminate the big plays, we'll have a pretty good shot.
Young Sanborn can go out of the shotgun or under center. Is that involved in the overall defensive scheme? Does that make it a little more difficult? The fact that he can, that the team has demonstrated they can succeed on both formations. What are your thoughts on that? And does that make your job a little more difficult defensively?
Yeah, I think anytime the offense poses a different, something a little bit different that they've shown, certainly gives you a little bit more time to have to go over certain things and can make it a little bit more complicated. But Kevin does a great job, and he's all a 6'3", and he can throw it and he can run it. And so now you kind of add into a little bit different elements in the shotgun that you might not necessarily get under center. So then you have to rep, the potential for like RPOs and bootlegs and maybe a read component that, I never would have thought that Plymouth would be doing some of the stuff that Sauhegan's doing on offense, being in the shotgun and reading guys. And, but it's funny how that works. But again, it comes down to, just being fundamentally strong on defense and, doing all the things that you need to win games, especially in November.
Last question.
But no, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rob. A little delay here. I'm sorry. The offensive line, I've seen 1.5 games I've been able to review that I was able to get on tape and look. And these guys, this offensive line, is not only gets off the ball quickly, but they're tactile. How they get off low, and they're tactically extremely sound with their hands rolling up and getting underneath in low position. This to me, whether Division I or II, is as tactically sound as I've seen any offensive line as a 5-man unit. I haven't seen anybody better. You were talking about the competition. I was unaware of that. Competition's a huge factor. If you get linemen fighting for positions, you can kind of get them to do what you want. But looks like these guys have high IQ across the line as well as a part of the game. What's gone into the ingredients to produce that line? Because it looked fantastic.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that, Beals. I think the veteran guys have been, we have Micah Dibble's a 3-year starter at left tackle. Right. Lunchy played for us at guard last year. He's a left guard. Patty Casey won the job last year as a sophomore. Always asking questions. Our right guard is Sean McCarthy, sophomore, and then a senior, Alex Sarfty. Both have done a great job. And then John Bauscha started at right tackle all last year as well, and he's a junior. And, I think that they are just students of the game. They always watch film during their free periods, hopefully not during their regular classes, but whatever.
And they just, anyway. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. But they are always asking the right questions. In practice, we've been able to compete a little bit more than maybe a team that might only have we got 67 players in our program, where maybe a team that's got mid to high 30s, which a lot of teams that we play do, they don't really have that good look squad to go against. And we've been fortunate to have a great look squad. And we praise those guys every week on both sides of the ball. So, but they're technically sound. They're smart football players. And they're physical and get after it as well. So you have a lot of recipe for a really good, really successful offensive line. And, we've been without our starting quarterback, Michael Fiengo, the last 2 games. And we've been putting athletes at quarterback, and we've still been able to run the football when everyone knows we're going to run the football. And I think that's when you got a pretty good offensive line. And, we got a huge test again Saturday, but we're up for it.
Yeah, are any of these guys wrestlers? Because they're positioning where they get into the hip area and then they start lifting, and you're literally depleting the defensive lines of the game and a half that I saw, and they're just lifting these guys out of any grounded balance, and they can't go anywhere, and they own them. I see more angle blocking on your running game than I've ever seen Sauhegan play as well. I mean, I'm talking some serious high degree angles, and maybe that's just because the tactics are being so effectively run. I mean, is there a coach out there that's doing that you can give accolades to, or is this really on all the players?
I coach the offensive line this year, Beals, but it's not about me, dude. Our offensive line have just done an awesome job, and they've done a great job. And whoever I've learned stuff from, whether it's buddies that I can just text any film and drill stuff that I can get that correlates to what we do. Always all off season, all I'm doing is trying to make myself a better coach in terms of and everything to making the program better and our players better. But no, it's always with our players. It barely has anything to do with me or the coaches. But to your point, Beals, we didn't have one kid that wrestled when I first got here in 2017. Now I think we got about 12 to 15 kids that wrestle, and three of them start for us on the offensive line.
Okay. So I didn't know that, Coach. I did not know that. But you don't have to know it to see it. You can see the low hitting going on. Nick's giving me the cue. I got to get off. I tell you, I'll have my nose right on the top of that football from the press box watching that offensive line. I played
baby.
Offensive line, defense, and offense. There's 2 teams. Boy, this has been a long one coming, and you're going to see some really good line fights going on. I can't wait. So
can't wait, Beals. Don't get too excited up in the booth there, Beals. Don't get too excited.
And then usually they throw a couple of those cheeseburgers. I think in Division II, the cheeseburgers are number 1 at Plymouth, and I think the pizza is number 1 at Sauhegan. So both snack booths got really good stuff going on. Have a little bit of calories. It kind of calms me down a little bit, and I promise I'll behave during the game.
Attaboy. Absolutely. And Feel
luck.
free to buy me a beverage at Biederman's after. All right, pal.
Ooh, all right. No coffee, but I'll buy him a beverage. Good seeing it, Robin. Thanks for everything you do.
Good stuff.
Always love having you on, brother. I'll leave it to Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. We appreciate it, Coach. Good luck on Saturday as well. That's again Robin Boquette. Always a fun interview. Fresh off the Souhegan practice field. He's got the Sabres where they need to be. Trying to stay undefeated Saturday. We'll be there in our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week presented by Beals Insurance. That's a 1 o'clock kick from North Country. 12:45 is our pregame. And, of course, our weekend begins on the right tomorrow night in Bedford. Undefeated Bedford against 5-1 Bishop Girton. Rivalry game gets underway at 7 o'clock. 6:45 is the pregame there. Another great show. Really enjoyed our guest this week. Roger Brown, always insightful. A little OT with him. And then a colorful interview with Coach Boquette from Souhegan. Again, check out the show anytime on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Want to thank the sponsors for helping us get this thing off the ground. That's, of course, Beals Insurance, MG Sports Fundraising, TKQB Academy, Accurate Tree Service, and Jewett Construction. We appreciate the ongoing support there. For our director, the man behind the curtain, the wizard of replay, Ben Beals, back in the Beals Insurance Studios, and my partner, executive producer, Steve Beals. My name is Nick Anastas, saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.